Hello, and welcome to the Flock Podcast, which is a little bit of everything, brought to you by the Flocking Network. Tonight, we have Heather Simmons on, and we are going to be talking about the Mandela Effect. So I'm very excited for that conversation. So if you like what you hear and you dig the vibe and you want to support the Flock, make sure you visit the Buy Me a Coffee page. From there, you can sign up for a membership, you can leave a donation, and you can grab some new flocking merch. And I do have some new stuff in there if you want to go check that out. If you want to be on the Flock podcast, there is also a link for that. And all of those links can be found in the show notes, along with Heather's tag on TikTok, which is loves the answer now. It's in the show notes. It's in there. We're there. We got it. All right. Are you ready for this? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm dealing with a little bit of a TikTok ban right now.
They picking on you?
Yeah, they're picking on me. So we're trying to get the TikToks working. I don't know what's going on with that. We might just be on here, but hello, everybody. We got everybody in the comments. I didn't even switch over to the comments yet. Hello. Everybody's here. All right. What part of the Mandela Effect do you want to talk about?
All of it. But that because it really, when it happened, when I first realized about it, it was back, I want to say in 2012 or 13. And it took me off guard so much that I was just immersed in nothing but looking for them, researching them, trying to figure it all out. So yeah, there's something that I have found over the years that is a big misconception. Like someone will say, "Oh, I remember it this way," and somebody else will say, "I remember it this way," and they think that they're not on the same page. But it's just the people who were existing in the timeline when it happened then, and then the people, that were existing in a different timeline then. So the recollections are different. It's not even like something you can argue about over in that sense,
Yeah, I feel like when people are like, "Oh no, I don't remember it that way," I'm like, "Oh, you're just from a different reality." Like that's okay.
Yeah.
That's true for you. This is what's true for me.
Right. And I look at them as both being true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of it, I feel like there's some where like it could go either way, and I understand that, and it's like a straight 50-50 split, right? Like one group of people remembers it this way, another group of people remembers it this way, but the ones that like sway all the way, like everybody remember, like the Bernstein Bears, like everybody fucking remembers that one way. They're fucking with us on purpose. Like that one, that hill I'll die on there. Like there's a couple of them that I'm like, and the whole Mandela effect in itself, how that was named, and
yeah, that's how. What was her name? Fiona. Snow. Can't remember exactly what her name was. Fiona something, but anyway, yeah, she remembered Mandela dying in prison, and then yeah,
and then he became the president and some shit, and like didn't, and ended up, and like is he still alive or did he die?
I don't know. I thought he then died in 2012, but when I was doing my extra research today, it seems like he's still alive. And I was like, I'm not even going down that hole. I don't have time for that right now. So, anyway, yeah, the Luke, I am your father one really got me. And the CP3O having a silver leg, like, because my little brother used to have all the little figurines and we would play with them and stuff. And now they're worth lots of money. And so I'm trying to find his figurines because I want to see if it has a silver leg. But there's residuals about, for people who say, well, we're just remembering it wrong. And I sent you an example on video that I don't even think we need to play. Most people are familiar, but like with James Earl Jones saying the line, Luke, I am your father, in an interview, he even remembered it that way.
See, those are the ones, like, I feel like they're like, those are the ones that changed. Like, I feel like they're fucking with us. This isn't our timeline. This isn't right, because there's that one. And then there's another one too, where it was with Snow White. It's mirror, mirror on the wall. Never has it ever been magic mirror.
Never.
Ever.
I don't remember it being magic mirror.
It was always mirror, mirror on the wall, right? So like those ones, those are like the hardcore like Mandela effects that I'm not budging on those. I'm not budging on Luke, I am your father. I'm not budging on the ET one. I'm not budging on
Oh
I'm not
yeah, the ET
budging
one.
on
I forgot about that. And
Oh,
then
I got a whole list of them. There's like over like 500 Mandela effects.
and then I really feel like it's associated with what CERN is doing with this large hadron collider in Switzerland, because it seemed like all that happened at the same time. They fired that thing up, and then and so now recently when they fired it up again, it seemed like more even were out there.
Well, the recent ones are like I feel like they're starting to get a little bit more bold with the Mandela effects. Like I've even, and I haven't like super researched it a lot or like taken a deep dive into it, but I know that like if you look up the anatomy of a body, like our organs are in different spots
And our bones,
and
like
our
the rib
bones.
cage used to connect and now doesn't, or vice versa.
Like eh, that I struggle with that. I struggle with that. I'm like, no, I learned anatomy. There's a reason it's called a kidney punch. Like this doesn't make any sense to me. Like your heart was always in the left. It's not in the center. Like that
And
some of this stuff is really
like there's some that happen that don't make sense. Like the movie, was it Moonraker? And it wasn't a movie that I was even familiar with, but it's about a guy named Jaws who's really big and has, I guess, messed up teeth. And then there's the other character is Dolly, and they end up falling in love, and she smiles and she has braces, and then it makes him feel comfortable with his smile, and the braces are gone now. And like that don't even make sense.
that doesn't make sense.
Right. Or like in the Bible, there's a verse where it said they poured the wine out of the bottles and into the bottles, and then the bottle deteriorated. I don't know what exact word. Well, it originally was saying loincloth or whatever that they used to keep wine in, and over time it would eat through the material. It was like a skin of something. And so like that doesn't make sense. Like bottles weren't even around then. What the hell are you talking about?
Well, isn't there another one in the Bible too with like the lion and the lamb?
That one.
Doesn't that one not exist anymore?
No,
Someone
it's
help
the
me who knows
wolf.
Bible verses better than I do. But
I know. Well, I was raised in the little Christian. I had to go to Christian school, so I had to learn the Bible front to back. So all that shit freaked me out. The Lord's Prayer is different. And it's not different versions like the Bible. I never even talk about the Bible ones with people, because then they're like, oh well, maybe it's this version or that version, and I'm like, no, it's not. That's nothing to do with it.
and just never mind. Like the conversation's useless at that point. There's so many conversations. Can we talk about that for a second? There's so many conversations that I don't even bother having with people anymore. I don't even waste my breath.
Yeah.
Like one thing will come out of my mouth and they'll just kind of like look at me sideways, or they'll like go left with it like they do with the like, oh well, it's a different version of the, you know what? You're right. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Just forget I'm breathing. You know what? Just forget I exist. I was never here.
Cognitive dissonance. It goes with ego. Because people are, I find they're like, I'm not gonna say I don't remember it that way, or I do, or whatever, that goes against the whatever they thought it used to be and it is now. Because they're gonna think, oh, then that would put me in the category with you where I'd be crazy too. That's what I think they think.
Listen, whether you think I'm crazy or you think I'm not crazy, both are 100% correct. So just roll with it. Whatever you want to decide. Yes, sure.
Yeah,
of course.
They did change the lion to the wolf, and that was, wow, that one really, now, because that was always my favorite, because I'm an animal lover, and so I remember, and it was in Isaiah, and they were talking about the lion will lay with the lamb, and in my mind I would go to sleep almost like a meditation when I was a child, imagining the earth being that peaceful, where everything just could coincide in peace without and harmony, and so I mean, the wolf is fine, but it wasn't freaking the wolf. How do they pick what the fuck? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know how they pick what to fuck with. And I don't even know if it's necessarily like anybody picking anything. I think it's just like I really do believe that it's different timelines, right? So like I always go back to, do you watch Family Guy?
I don't watch
No.
TV. That's a part of my problem with some of these Mandelas is I don't
You
have the
don't watch
TV.
TV? Okay, I'm a big Family Guy fan. The Family Guy, The Office, like does anybody else here watch Family Guy? Okay. There's this one episode of Family Guy where it's called Back to the Pilot. And they have, right? Stewie's got a time portal machine and they're trying to find where Brian buried his tennis ball fucking 10 years ago. Okay. So they go back to like, it's like it's like season 9 and they go back to the original episode and like everything's all like ill produced and everything, right? Because like the graphics back then weren't as good. Like they did it. Oh, sorry. I hit my microphone. They did a good job with it, but they get into this, like they start jumping into all of these like different timelines and like different realities, and they come back like with different body parts, or like their clothes are slightly different, or like one of them they're just like swirling around like a barber's post and they're like, I don't know, this is life now. And so like there's all these like different realities and different layers of dimensions just constantly existing all at once. And I truly do believe that like it's not so much them messing with shit, but it's more so like that just translated different into this timeline. Like this translation of it is, this version of the universe is different than the other version.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they say, for every decision you make, it happens on different timelines, and your spirit, your one, it's going straight on through, and then you can follow along any of these paths that you want to in the meantime. So it could have come from any timeline because they're just in there willy nilly, clinging things together,
Messing with frequencies and energy and shit.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to go through some of these Mandela? So I pulled up some of these Mandela effects.
Okay.
And
I got my favorites written down too, so
okay.
We can go through them both. I'd love it.
Okay, so this is where it started. So let me share this here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the reason we're all here. Nelson Mandela, who this theory is named after, died in 2013. However, countless people distinctly remember him dying in prison in 1980. But his death isn't the only example of the Mandela effect. We have both been wrong. We have been wrong about so many dates, details, and more. So this is just gonna be like a list of like drop down ones.
Brands.
I remember Jiffy.
Me too.
Okay, are we gonna vote? Are we gonna vote on these?
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. Can
I do like a poll in here? I don't think I can. Oh, my mouse is all the way over there. Edit layout.
There's a guy on YouTube, and his name is Moneybag73, and I loved listening to him in the beginning. I still listen to him, but he did something cool where he would show the product or the logo or whatever, and then people would vote thumbs up if they remember it that way, thumbs down if they remember it another way, right? But he's changed it since then the way he does it. But that was kind of cool because you used to could see thumbs down and thumbs up count.
All right.
Anywho.
So you remember Jiffy?
I remember Jiffy.
I remember Jiffy. Like I distinctly remember Jiffy because you had like it didn't fit. It doesn't fit like this. You had to spin the can to read it, right? Like it wrapped around the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are they saying in the comments?
It's in the comments, we're not there yet. We're still stuck on Mandela here.
Okay.
Is it Jiff or Jiffy? The comments got a little bit of a delay on them here. Let's is this gonna thumbs up for Jiffy? We have a thumbs up for Jiffy. You remember Jiff. Raisa remembers Jiff. All right, see? We're indifferent. This one. Which one do you remember?
This is one of those that I want to say tunes, but I've been mindfucked so much over this. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, why would they teach our children to spell tunes miscorrectly?
Yeah, but it was a play. It was a play on words.
Right. So that's why I keep going back to remembering it like that. with the tunes. Oh.
Yeah, it was tunes.
Yeah.
It was definitely tunes. All right. This is the Berenstein. This is Berenstein Bears. 100%. I'm dying on this hill.
Yeah. That's the correct spelling for that name typically, isn't it?
Well, this goes into like the American print version versus the because it's a German name, right? Is the German?
The last name of the freaking people.
Yeah, it was definitely an E.
Yeah.
100% an E.
Tail. No tail. I remember tail.
There was always a tail because I distinctly remember reading a particular Curious George story. I can't remember which one it was, but he was hanging from a tree by his tail. Like it was like a whole story. Like there was a whole section in it where he had a tail. Like he had a tail.
This one is a funny story because my kids, I had this book with my kids, right? And when this was first happening, everybody remembered a tale. And so we grabbed one of the books, and one of the pages, he was coming down out of the window, and he would have just been suspended in air in this book. Like the tail was gone and he was just upside down. It didn't make any sense. Again, like it would have been him hanging from the windowsill with his tail.
He was a monkey.
Yeah.
Monkeys have tails.
Right. And the picture in the
book
is like, oh, he's just hanging out. And now where we all remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
Tail.
No, this next one, I never watched this show, but I definitely remember it being in the city because that's their location. It was Sex in the City, not Sex and the City. They're
right.
Not like it's Sex in the City. It's in the city.
Yeah, that one got me too because that's one that I was familiar with because I worked in the bar, and we would come home afterward to drink beers, or whatever, and they would want to get caught up on sex in the damn city, in the city.
Yeah, in the city. It's Sex in the City, not Sex and the City.
Right.
100%. I agree with you. Okay. This one fucked me up. I definitely remember, like, I'm from a different timeline. 100%, because it was always this.
Me too.
It was always that because that was their whole commercials. They would add like all of the E's, right? Just Febreze and it would be like all these E's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, I understand. And I've had this conversation with people with the Mandela Effect where they're like, oh, well, it's just marketing. They like changed their logo. No, because if they just changed their logo, there would be a history of them changing their logo. I've changed my logo. I still have the old one. I'm not going to make you think that you're crazy and that it like never existed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think
you can find this information as well,
right. Like you can find the past and like the evolution of the logo.
Right.
They're trying to say that it never existed that way, like ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This one, I feel like we're going to lose friendships over.
This one, I was a little kid, so I watched TV. My baloney had a first name.
I feel like this is when you hit people with like the reverse draw Uno fucking draw four card. Like we're going to lose friendships over this.
A-Y-E-R. Mayer. M-A. It's A.
It's M-A-Y-E-R. It's
Yeah.
M-A-Y-E-R.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll die on that hill.
Yeah. Although I may have said it Meyer, but when I sing it, it's M-A-Y-E-R. It was a little song that went with the commercial.
See, I never thought that it was an E.
Yeah.
I never thought that there was an E. All right, this one. There was always a T. 100% always a T. And this isn't even like a marketing thing. Like the Fruit of the Loom one, we can argue the cornucopia, right? But like as a logo change, but like this is a full ass, like you done changed the whole spelling of the thing. And like the T makes sense.
I say it that way.
Yeah, it's Skechers.
Yeah.
It's Skechers. We all had Skechers. They lit up. They had the fucking things in them. It was always a T.
Skechers, and we were all learning to spell then too, so we were sounding it out,
No T? You guys don't remember a T? There was always a T. For sure there's a T. There's always a T. Skechers.
And I wonder if it has something to do with people's where they are in their spiritual evolution, at the time. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like where they first caught it, like how like
Mhm.
where they how far through how many
Right.
lenses they had removed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. Yeah.
What Skechers? There's a T now. There's always a T. There's always a T. Now this one I remember. I remember this. I remember the double fruit. This doesn't make any sense. This is the Looney Tunes thing. They're going to change the spelling of it to interact with the content of it, right?
Sure.
They're going to change it to make it work with the logo.
It's not that.
It's not that. Like I remember the double O's.
Me too.
Okay. You remember both the fruit and the fruit.
Yeah, both of them being oh.
Oh no, I was reading I was reading a comment. James remembers both of them being fruit and fruit. I just remember the double O's. I don't know about this one.
I don't know about that one either. Oh my god, but it reminds me of the freaking scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz with the gun.
Oh my god. Okay, so that
I was not there.
he never had a gun. First of all, he never had a gun. He never had a gun.
I would remember that because I would have been like, that would have been my favorite character.
Okay, now this one. I'm so glad that we got to the Monopoly Man. Let's talk about the Monopoly Man.
He has lots of residuals too. I remember the monocle.
I remember the monocle.
And
The other reason that I remember the monocle, and I will die on the monocle hill, is there is an entire scene in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective
yeah,
with Jim Carrey. Okay, there's an entire scene where he's at the fancy dinner party and he's coming down the stairs, and there's this little dude that looks like the Monopoly Man with a monocle and the mustache. And he even so much as makes a comment about the Monopoly game to this guy. That whole scene could have been erased, could have not existed, and it would have no impact on that movie whatsoever. The only reason that reference even made sense is because the Monopoly Man had a monocle, and I'm gonna die on that hill.
that's another one. Yep. Residual.
And you had the game board.
Yeah.
MS has all the artifacts. She's got the game board. She's got the Oscar Mayer wagon out front in the yard in the flower beds. Yeah, he definitely had a monocle. Do you think he had a monocle?
She said she saw an old board without a monocle.
With no monocle.
Yeah, because he still doesn't have one in this reality.
Yeah, no, but he did. He for sure did. This doesn't even look right. Like this looks wrong. This looks incomplete in my brain. This one.
When I heard that one, I had to go pull out my Monopoly board and look. And I was just like, oh my God. Then I went on to the Bible. Bibles.
Okay. I had Pokemon cards for a while. Way back in the day. Not anything to do with the game, just to like something to collect because everybody was, and I was like, oh, this is fun. We'll do this. He definitely had black on his tail. Like for sure. There was black on that tail. 100%.
Yeah, I remember black.
Because it matched his ears. Like, why would it not? I don't know. Some of these just don't even make it. Like, why would they change it? And now there's no hyphen between the Kit Kat on the Kit Kat bar. Like, I struggled with that one. I remember the dash.
Yeah, I remember the dash too. Not being that close in between the two words, but definitely the dash.
Black on the tail. Black on the tail. Black on the tail. Remember the dash. Okay. I also remember the cornucopia. We touched on this one earlier.
I remember that.
I remember the cornucopia being in the Fruit of the Loom.
It's I remember It's. Is that what it is or no?
No.
This one's new to me. It's not It's anymore.
Nope. That doesn't even make sense. You want to cheese it? It's Cheez-Its.
Why would I just want one?
Plural. See, I remember it being a Z.
Oh, this one's new too to me.
Okay, so this one is what I remember. I remember the double stuff because it was said slightly different, but this is what it is now. They just are spelling it correctly.
Sometimes I don't think, I don't know the product well enough to say, oh, I definitely remember it being this or that. So I'm
an Oreo whore. It was definitely only one F. I ripped open several of those packages at 3 a.m. after an entire bowl. So yeah, it's definitely only one F. I don't know what the fuck they're doing now. Okay, the Mona Lisa smile.
Well, I thought she did, but apparently she doesn't now.
I don't really know the difference between the two. I'm trying to see. They kind of look the same.
Yeah, they do.
I think those are the same picture. I think they're fucking with us on this site. We're just going to, oh, here's your CP301.
Oh, yeah. Little jerk.
This is not correct. No. I don't know what this is, but that's not correct.
Mm.
Do you remember the Flintstones or the Flintstones?
Okay, so this was my favorite show, and I still watch it. And I remember the Flintstones.
You remember this one?
Yeah. Because it had the two T's make like the little area where their house is and all. I thought. Like they look like.
It was the Flintstones?
That's what I thought.
It wasn't the Flintstones? It didn't just roll? It wasn't Flintstones? It was Flintstones?
You know, like Flint, you know? Like
I remember one T.
That's one that wouldn't, you know, like Flint. I mean, I can see it. That's a hard one, but you know, they lived in rocks and they had to use the flint, make flint.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because I mean, that could be like maybe, and you know, a lot of people say that we're misremembering things, and if it's something like that, I can see where that would happen. But some of them are way too obvious to look at as mass misremembering.
No boot. All gold. Oh, I didn't see a different. Okay, I was just reading the comments back up. Okay, that's all we got for that one.
Okay, so it reminds me
like the logo ones, and
oh yeah, Leap Forward is one I was going to talk about. Yes, because being the country girl I am, I never remember Ford having that little curly Q on their logo.
You don't remember it?
Right.
Can we? Oh, I don't want to watch it on YouTube because we'll get in trouble.
Yeah, but see, okay, you can kind of see it in that picture.
Hold on, I got you.
Yes. See, I don't remember that little curly Q.
Oh, well, that was a lot smaller than I wanted it to be. All right, we're just going to do this. You don't remember this?
No. I remember it being straight across. That's
Ford logo was the bottom one in reality. For years, I thought the Ford logo was the bottom one in reality. So this is what it's not.
Right. Correct.
Hold on a second, because I just took a picture of my truck, and now now I want to know.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, because wait, where's Bessie? Because hold on. Oh damn, it's too blurry for me to see it.
Oh.
Shit. All right, well, let's just pull up. What's the Ford logo then? Ford.
It's that one that was on top, little loopy doodle.
It's got a curly now?
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
I'm about to walk out to my truck real quick. That bitch is a 2012.
I swear, I remember it just straight, and so that's what makes me think that it's the curly Q now, because that looks, I don't even know what that is.
It's not curly.
It's a pigtail.
No, I don't like that. I'm going to go look at my truck after this live and I'm going to take a fucking picture and I'm going to send it to Telegram. There's no loop.
No. And then, the Volvo symbol is like, has a little arrow off the edge of it now. And I just remember it being circular.
I don't know if that one's gonna. Oh, this one right here?
Yeah. Yeah. And a little arrow pointing out there like that. Never in my life.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that either.
Mm-mm. And the JFK car, obviously.
The JFK car. Okay. The JFK car. What do you remember?
I remember 4.
I also remember 4. Again, there's another episode, right? Like they do a cutaway, a flashback to it, and it's a completely different like thing that they're trying to make fun of or like make a joke on. But
Family,
they what?
are you talking about the Family Guy
Yeah.
cartoon? Okay.
Yeah. And they go back and they're trying to shoot the Hamburglar, okay, who's supposed to be playing JFK. And like the joke is about the headshot, okay, and like spraying meat everywhere. But when they do the cutaway, if it was correct, right, they're going off historical events, they're going to make it that way, right? So they would have made it a 6-person car, but they didn't. It was only 4.
And there's 2 museums that I've seen the car in at the replica, and it's only 4. The movie that the Secret Service made to reenact the event, the car had 4. Why would you use a 4-seater to reenact it? And the movie they made about James Harvey Oswald, blah blah blah, in the movie there, 4 seats. I don't make sense to me.
It was always 4 seats.
Yeah.
100%, always 4 seats. What was the first Mandela effect that got you going down the Mandela rabbit hole?
Probably the Bible ones would have been the ones that got me, and actually the JFK one really shook me.
I think the first one for me was the Monopoly monocle. Like I was like, no, he definitely had a monocle. Like he 100% had a monocle. And that got me down this whole rabbit hole. And then I pulled like a list of 500 of them. And there's still like a whole bunch that we haven't even touched on. And there's even ones that like aren't even at all the same and are completely different. Like we're a different age, but do you remember Avril Lavigne?
Mm-hmm.
You know the Skater Boy song?
Mm.
He was a skater boy. She said, "See you later, boy."
No.
Okay. So for my Avril fans, all right, listen, I was a diehard Avril Lavigne fan. All right. Like this was like back in middle school. And the Skater Boy music video, there's a whole scene and there's a whole line in the song where like watching off of her TV and like, look at her now, blah, blah, blah. And the music video is this other girl is watching them on the TV. Like that part doesn't even exist. She's wearing the wrong outfit in the music. It's like a completely different music video. Like the whole thing is completely different.
Yeah. Britney's clothes changed in her music video.
Oh, the microphone?
And the skirt, yeah.
And the skirt? I didn't know about the skirt.
She used to have like now she's got a solid skirt on. And it used to be, I thought, like, what do you call it? Checkered or whatever. Not checkered, but
plaid.
Yeah, plaid, thanks.
And Forrest Gump. Yeah, that one too.
Yeah, that one. And Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. That's another one that doesn't make sense if you build it. I don't know what it is now. He will come, but the whole thing was he was trying to build this thing for people to come to.
There's so many things based off of that quote. If you build it, they will come. Like that's the quote. That's what it is.
Yeah. And we're gonna need a bigger boat in Jaws. Not that one shook me because that's one I watched when I was a little girl.
They versus he. What was the Forrest Gump? I remember life is like a box of chocolate. What does he say now?
Was like a box of chocolates.
No, that's not correct.
Why would
Oh
life?
yeah, the queen. We are the champions. That just
Yeah,
ends. He doesn't say of the world at the end like everybody thinks.
right. I remember that. And oh, hello, Clarice. That's completely gone. Completely.
From Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah. It's just gone. Nothing even to replace it.
It doesn't even make sense.
Because that was what was so eerie, is like he called her out by name. I just remember it so clearly.
Yeah, we did that one. Heather actually sent me this video, shit mess, now that you brought that. Since you brought that back up. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. It started playing automatically. I didn't even share the screen yet. All right, let's do share my. Okay, the sound should work. Okay. Ready?
Dialogue that said Luke.
Let me start this over.
When I first saw the dialogue that said, Luke, I am your father, I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how they're going to play that lie out.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
So he just forgot what he said in the movie, in that interview. And then there was another interview too. I was just giving an example of residuals in that little piece there, finding things that prove that it was different.
So, oh yeah, he definitely had the sunglasses in Shipments just said Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Business. He had the sunglasses in Risky
And
Business for sure.
Whitey Whiteys too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're still. That's the same. I feel like that may have changed.
Well, it was the shirt color I think is different now.
Oh, okay.
But so what do you? How do I word my question? I had a question for you, and I'm trying to think how to word it. Is how do you like? I guess how do you handle Mandela effects? Like some of these fucked with me, like hardcore. Like I started questioning my reality. Like I went into a deep dive on a whole bunch of shit. Like how did you versus how now, or how do you handle like when stuff like rattles you like that?
It took me off guard, but because I was already deep into trying to figure out what CERN was doing and feeling like that something was going to happen, I got excited about it almost. I wanted to find, and I still like this, I want to find all the things and then figure out the connections, like decode it. Like, did they just, like I said, willy-nilly, like rip some shit out, all kinds of dimensions, or like, is there a rhyme to the reason? Like, I just want to figure it out. So yeah, I mean, that's how I handled it, I guess.
James thinks that the Mandela effect is a CIA play op to brainwash people. What are your thoughts on that?
If I didn't already know that all about that, I would think that, but I'm trying to think. It could be. It very well could be. Because I think
if they were going to brainwash us, it would be different, unless they're just like gearing us up and seeing how far they can push it, or if like their little tests. But I feel like if they were going to brainwash us with stuff, it would be different things and not the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. You know what I mean?
I feel like that. I feel like it's not that, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past it being that, you know,
a human social experiment. Yeah,
it is that, but like we didn't sign up for that. Oh, I say it is, but we didn't sign up for it. You know, it's like,
start that whole sentence over one more time for me.
The human experiment. It is that.
I think the whole simulation is a human experiment. I think they're just playing with everything.
Right.
The CIA, like, I feel like if the CIA is going to try and brainwash people, I feel like that's the bigger stuff. That's that flat earth versus the globe. Like, they're trying to brainwash people that way. I don't know if necessarily the Mandela effect is a brainwash, more of a social. I would go more of like a social experiment. But yeah, you're right. You're right. The brainwashing does start with little things. It does.
See, but you know what it could be is also the guy I was watching a TED talk for the guy's name before Gordy Rose. He is the guy who invented the D-Wave computer, which is the quantum computer. And I had watched this back when the Mandela Effect had started, and it caught my eye because I was watching TED Talks all the time. And it caught my eye because he was talking about multiple realities and universes. And at that point in time, he had installed only two, and this company, which he's no longer involved in, it's the only company to make these quantum computers. They're really expensive, and they're like huge 10 by 12 foot refrigerators, because the Q chip is the size of like your thumbnail, but it has to be kept at absolute zero. And so there's just these huge ass boxes, and it's really expensive. So one of them was purchased by Google and set up at NASA, and the other one was set up at the University of East Carolina. I think East Carolina, South Carolina, South California, University of South California.
Okay.
Right? So there was only two. They interact simultaneously.
Interesting.
And there's been more since then, but their information, they're like AIs, because it doubles. It came after the supercomputer that was created by somebody in Russia, and it's more effective because of the simultaneous communication. Okay, so this was something that I thought about. What if they were to take one and have here on Earth, and then they were to send another one light years away? By the time the information went there and came back, it would be future information. So in my mind, it made me wonder if it wasn't associated with Q and all that information that came, like the book that was written, the last president and Barron Trump's Underground Adventures. This all just started like falling into place when I was thinking about this.
That's an interesting theory.
Because it's a simultaneous reaction, and we're on whatever you want to call this continuum.
I'm just processing that. Like,
I can't process it. It short circuits me. So if anybody's smarter than me and can think of where they would send it, that would give us information from the future. Like, it can only come from the future or the past. It can't do both, right?
But time doesn't exist, so the past and the future are all now. It's just a different stretch of time manipulation where it's going based on the space that it's occupying.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
that sounds good. Sounds good.
It blows my mind, but that all does. So.
Yeah, I agree with Adonica's comment here. Anything to keep people questioning what they know, so they accept different realities easier, and they can't trust their own memories. That's the thing. And I cut back to that. What was that movie with Sandra Bullock? It wasn't Premonition. Was it Flight Log or something like? Or no, maybe it wasn't Sandra Bullock. It was some other fucking. They like convinced her that her daughter didn't exist. They like removed everything from her house. Like, she had agents watching her constantly. Like, they implanted people in her life to like help her. It's like the Truman Show. They like implanted people in her life to no, they didn't. Like, she never existed. She was never here. Like, all the pictures were gone. Like, all the evidence was gone. It wasn't taken. It was something with a flight because she lost her on the plane, which like made it even weirder. But like, I'm getting chills talking about it. It was like this whole thing though. And they are 100% messing with things that they shouldn't be messing with. And I think it's that moment that they're looking for when we do lose it and we do go crazy and we either slip into a cycle of pharmaceuticals, right? Which is just going to make them more money, or we just go completely off the rails the other way and just fall right into line into the simulant, just say fuck it. But
But
it's
to me, it feels natural. It feels like a confirmation. Like, yeah,
the
this
forgotten.
makes sense.
It does make sense. It 100% makes sense. There's so many things now that I've been learning.
And like where you're vibrating, where your frequency is during the time that you existed, when the things were one way or another, as compared to where the other person was.
Right.
It was different realities.
It was 100% different realities. And I do believe that we're still, I mean, you're constantly, so this is how I like, you're constantly shifting into different realities, into different timelines based on your choices that you choose, right? Like based on the things you do. It's how I view it is like one of those books where, you know, you open a page 72. Yeah, like the adventure books. Like, okay, page 72 is going to be a different story. Whereas if you go to page 38, you're going to go through the cave. Right. So like I think that, you know, based on, and that's why raising your frequency and changing your vibration and balancing your oscillation is so important, because you tap into these other realities by changing those, like what you were saying, by changing those frequencies, by tapping it. So you're constantly like, if I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm like, well, fuck today, like this is going to be a shit fucking day, I just entered into that reality of everything being shit.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had spoken differently and I had a different mindset, I would have changed my vibration and my frequency, and I would tap into that higher reality, that higher dimension. I think that everything exists at once.
Yes, it does make sense. And the D-Wave computers, their communication is simultaneous, and that reminded me of, you know, everything happening at once simultaneously.
Because if all time is now and the past and the future don't really exist, right? Because you can't be in two places at once. And it's just like I view it like a spiral. And I kind of go back to the live that we did with Derek with, you know, the sacred geometry. And it's just constantly, no matter which way it's constantly spiraling in on itself and blooming back out again. Like it's just this ever folding, like,
that live is what made me go directly and click the links to go, I want to come back on again. I didn't want to be greedy and get somebody else's turn. And I was like, I'll be patient, but I want to talk about the Mandela.
No, I'm here for the Mandela. That's why I was like, yeah, let's do this. And but no, like it constantly I forgot my thought where I was going with that. No, it's not your fault. I lost it long ago, somewhere deep in the depths of the Rolodex of my brain that it is. What were we talking about? We were talking about time and in the future and other realities. I had a fucking point, and it's,
You can't be two places at once, past and future. It's now. Those are things you said.
those are words I said. I still don't remember where I was going.
It definitely helped.
Fuck. It was a really good point too. Something about like, I think I was going to tie it into like my deja vu thing, but I don't really know if I was going to go there. Anyway, moving on. Do you think that, so like, you know how they have all these predictions about like what's going to happen in the future? Like, I want to know why all of these like future fortune tellers, time travelers from the great beyond, haven't like predicted any like, hey, FYI, this is going to change. It's going to fuck your day up. Like, why isn't that happening? How come they can't predict the Mandela? Like, what's the next Mandela effect that's going to happen? How come that hasn't been predicted?
I don't think they control it. I don't. I think it's just random.
Yeah, but even if they don't control it and somebody is coming back from the future, they're like, hey, they changed this.
And remember, I was talking about like how you make a choice.
Oh,
so it's I think that's the way I was looking at it in the beginning. Is it was a choice that was made. So you're seeing on that timeline, that universe, that choice went on to live. But see, what's happening is our timelines are converging because we're coming to the top of this spiral of this cosmic clock. So it's starting to converge, and that's what's happening too.
So you think everything's just gonna like come, like when you say converge and like come together and that we're at the top of the clock, like what does that mean to you? What does that look like?
I feel like that there's, if you were to look at Earth, you could infinitely see many Earths in every direction, or many planes, or however you see Earth, and that each one are choices that someone has made that have carried on timelines, and yeah, it's just kind of floating, and it's an energetic thing. So when it comes in and it crosses over, it's like seeing a ghost for me. Like sometimes I'll see something that doesn't communicate with me, and I feel like the timelines merged for a minute.
So do you think that if the timelines like do converge and everything merges at once, do you think that you're going to be able to see both? Mandela effect. I'm just strictly talking about Mandela effects. Like, do you think that you're going to be able to see both?
Well, if you think about the people who are Mandela affected, I think that means that they do see both. Remembering it one way and now seeing it is another way, right?
Okay, let me rephrase my question. I do agree with you on that, but that wasn't my question. So like if all of these timelines converge, okay, and like everything kind of just like comes together, then which one sticks? Like does it go back to the old one, or does it stay as this one, or does it become a combination, or do some other things fall out and some come in? Like how does that work? And if you don't have the answers, that's just a thought
Yeah,
that's in my brain.
I don't know. I would think it would be constant shifting, especially if you think about if the way I see it in my mind with all these multiple universes and us coming to the end of this cosmic calendar and the spiral, and we're going like, so everything's coming closer and closer, and it's going to boom, it's going to be one. It's going to start a new cosmic calendar with all new choices and timelines.
So it's like we're passing go and collecting $200.
Yep, exactly, with no monocle.
There's the monocle. Damn it. There's 100% a monocle. I don't think, okay, Danica said, I don't think a reality can have both, just like there can only be one you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, but one you, but there's fractals of you that are interacting in other universes that we don't realize, probably.
Well, because then it goes. So hear me out on this, okay? Because and then we'll wrap this up, okay? So let's talk on that for a second. Yeah, that's actually what we were talking about in the beginning of the live, where they switched timelines in 2000 because of the Hydrogen Collider, because that ties into CERN. We were actually talking about that in the beginning. I know who you are. I won't say who you are, but I see you. Thank you. So much since it's changed in your life. So if we're going off the theory where there's this source, okay, we're gonna call it this source energy, and then that source energy trickles down into spirits, right, which is other energy, and then when it enters into a vessel, it becomes a soul, right? So if we're all like, there's like, I'm you and you are me, right? Like you are just a projection that I'm creating in my mind to be a body in front of me right now. So in that theory, then if we're all just fractals, if we're all just scattered throughout these timelines, I mean, that would make sense then, right? Because if I'm you and you're me and I'm them and they're me, and it's all the same because it's all from the same ocean. You just took a cup of it, right? It's the same water.
Yeah, and also we can be in two places at once. There's an actual, some people can do that. And like I've had multiple occasions where my kids talk to me in the garage and then they come and I'm in the other room and they're like, I just saw you in the garage. I didn't see them in the garage, but there was some part of me out there. You know?
So that's happened to me a couple times where like I've seen something. I've gone into another room and then it's there. And I'm like, no, that was I just saw that and there's no way. Like
Yeah.
there's no way it could get here. And then did you see there was this one There's this one video. So 2 a.m. TikTok's a weird place. And I got stuck on this like 10-minute video of this girl trying to do an experiment of how to break out of the matrix. Did you see this? And she's got like all these cameras set up. Okay. And she's under the going off of the theory and the premise that nothing exists until you look at it. Right? Like it's your brain that's creating this microphone. It's my brain that's creating this computer right now. Like if I leave this room, nothing in here exists until I come back out and see it. So she was trying to prove this theory, and she like I don't know if it was a skit or if it was like it was just interesting to me and it made me think. And she like had all of these cameras set up, and she was and she like it ended with her walking out of one frame and into another. I'm getting chills. And into another, and she just fucking like disappears out of the whole thing because of the way that the camera angles were set up and nothing was technically like watching her. Like it was fucking crazy. And I just like sat there for a second. I'm like, I need to go. This is enough internet for me today. Like I can't.
I mean, well, yeah, that's like the micro and the macro. That's how it is with the quantum physics. The Higgs boson experiment, where something observes the particle and it turns into a beam, I think is how it goes. I'm not a physicist.
Yeah, we're not professionals at anything except talking. we can listen, we're gonna figure it out. All right, we're gonna figure it out.
One more thing.
Yeah.
That I was watching a live about this guy who was on the beach and there were these big balls and it was in New Zealand, and I went to look it up and it wouldn't give me any information, so I went in the Wayback Machine, looked it up, pull up an article, and then underneath the article it says what is a Monroe piercing. And this is one that fucked with me because I had a Monroe piercing because I love Marilyn Monroe, and she didn't have the freaking I'm not on her lip, it's not there on her lip anymore, it's on the side of her face or something.
What?
Yes. And so I clicked on that article because I was the Wayback Machine. I was in 2011 and that article came up and it was showing the girls with getting their piercings here. It showed the Marilyn with the piercing there. And yeah.
Oh my God. You're blowing my mind right now. Stop.
Yeah. It's like, well, I called and said, can I get a Monroe piercing? When I'm
going to share this because that is a Monroe piercing, because I was debating to get either this one or to get my Monroe done, which is because it was on her lip. It was on her lip. And as soon as I find this fucking tab, now it's on her cheek.
Yeah.
That's not right. That's not correct. All right, you want to look at another one because we can do that. That's not correct. Look at, that's not right.
Why is it way over there?
What is that?
I used to put a little dot there too when I was like in high school and did my hair with Aquaflex. Like put a little dot there. I wanted to be her. Like that's
not correct.
That one shook me.
Okay, we're gonna end on that, and I'm gonna go have an existential crisis really quick. Heather, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for letting me come back. I love y'all.
Yeah, this was fantastic. God, what a vibe. Thank you all in the comments and bearing with us while we got the TikToks up and rolling here. Thank you all so much again for joining tonight and the live. Thank you, Heather. Be sure to click those links and get her on TikTok. Do you still do the lives in the morning with the ocean?
I do. It's been rainy, so I haven't for the past week, but I usually am there at sunrise.
Weather pending. We do the ocean lives. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Couple shout outs. I want to give a shout out to James with Double O Music. He does the intro and the outro music for us. Special shout out to Goose with Here to Chew Bubblegum. You can check that show out 9:30 a.m. on the Flocking Network. Quick housekeeping announcement. This week on Sunday and this week on Tuesday, they will both be pre-records. So there's a pre-record dropping at 4 p.m. on Sunday with Here to Chew Bubblegum. And there's a pre-record that's going to be dropping on Tuesday at 8 p.m. So stay tuned for that. Special shout out to our sponsors, Static and Noise. All of these can be found in the channels tab. Make sure you check that community tab every once in a while. Sometimes I update it. Make sure you click the clickables. click all of them. Click the subscribe, click the like, make a comment somewhere, send this to someone. That's all for now. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Walk around and find out.